last week, you were probably shopping online.
Right.
You put a pair of shoes in your cart, your phone rings, you get totally distracted, and you just close the tab.
Happens all the time.
Right. And then 20 minutes later, boom, an email hits your inbox reminding you about those exact shoes.
It feels like magic.
It really does, but it isn't magic. It's actually the result of this multi-million-dollar data infrastructure that's just firing on all cylinders behind the scenes. So, welcome to episode 24 of our series, Data Designed with Mockup.
Excited to be here.
Today, we are taking a deep dive into the massive gap between simply hoarding all this marketing data and, actually making it visually actionable.
Yeah, which is a huge hurdle for most companies.
Exactly. We're unpacking how the industry has completely rewired the way it reaches you, moving from broad guesswork into this hyper-targeted science, and why wireframing is basically the critical missing bridge in making all that data readable.
Yeah, it is a massive structural shift because for a long time, the barrier to effective marketing, it wasn't a lack of information. It was the inability to translate these absolute mountains of behavioral data into a coherent strategy.
It's drowning in numbers.
Exactly. So today we're looking at a comprehensive handbook on data-driven marketing. We're going to trace the actual mechanics of this data pipeline from the real-time tracking algorithms that are completely replacing old-school market research to the systemic roadblocks companies hit.
The roadblocks are fascinating.
Oh, they're huge, especially when their databases just absolutely refuse to talk to each other.
Right.
And ultimately, we're going to look at the execution phase. Like how teams use wireframing platforms, specifically mockup.ai, to build the dashboards that actually make this data human readable.
Because, having a billion data points is completely useless if you can't see the narrative they're forming.
Oh, 100%. It's just noise otherwise.
Yeah. Before we get into the dashboard design, though, I want to look at this fundamental shift in philosophy the handbook outlines, the transition away from traditional marketing. Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Because I have to push back just a little on the premise that traditional marketing was purely guesswork.
Okay, fair.
They had market studies, right? They had focus groups, demographic research. It wasn't completely blind.
Well, no, it wasn't blind, but it was incredibly slow.
Yeah.
And it relied almost entirely on lagging indicators.
The lagging indicator.
Meaning, in a traditional model, you might run this massive, expensive campaign, but you literally wouldn't know if it actually worked until you looked at your sales volume, a month later.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
You were reacting to history.
Right. You've already spent the money.
Exactly. The shift to data-driven marketing is about moving to leading indicators. If we connect this to the bigger picture, it's the difference between reading a historical account of a battle versus having a live satellite feed of the battlefield while it's happening.
That is a great analogy. So traditional marketing was essentially like throwing darts in a dark room and just hoping you hit the board.
Pretty much, yeah.
Whereas data-driven marketing turns on the lights and gives you a laser sight.
Yes. Because modern marketing uses real-time behavioral insights to measure things like click velocity, engagement depth, immediate conversion rates.
Instant feedback.
Instant. It allows a marketer to pivot a strategy at, say, 2:00 p.m. on a Tuesday because the real-time data shows that a specific demographic just isn't responding.
So it fundamentally changes the day-to-day mindset of a marketer.
Completely.
You aren't just designing a campaign, launching it, and crossing your fingers anymore. You are constantly turning dials.
Yes, it's highly iterative.
But how does that change the actual focus? Because at the end of the day, the end goal is still just to sell a product.
Well, the ultimate goal hasn't changed, right? You still want to understand and meet customer needs, but the mechanism requires a huge shift from being product-focused to being customer-centric.
Okay, explain that difference.
In the past, you built a product and blasted the market, hoping the right demographic intercepted your message by chance.
Like a TV commercial.
Exactly. Now, you use the data to observe the consumer's behavior first. You map their digital footprint, and you tailor the offering specifically to their immediate context.
You're anticipating them.
Right. You aren't a broadcaster anymore. You are building an automated system that acts as a highly responsive listener.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because I want to dig into how that listening actually functions mechanically. The handbook brings up some very tangible ROI statistics on this.
Yeah, the numbers are wild.
It notes that 2 out of 3 leading marketers agree that data-driven decisions just completely outweigh gut instincts. And Forbes research shows that data helps 64% of marketing leaders gain more clients.
It's undeniable at this point.
So going back to the abandoned cart email from our intro,
Yeah.
how does this system actually execute that?
Technically speaking.
Yeah, because as a consumer, it feels instantaneous. Like I close the tab, I get the email. What is the technical trigger there?
Okay, so it relies on identity resolution and session tracking. When you land on that site, the architecture assigns a unique session ID. This is often tied to a cookie or your logged in user profile.
The classic cookies, yeah.
And as you navigate, every microaction you take, clicking a photo, selecting a size, hovering over the Add to Cart button, all of that is logged as an event in a real-time database.
Just constantly tracking those tiny movements.
Exactly. Then, when you close the tab, an API triggers an abandonment event.
Oh, wow.
The system immediately queries its database. It checks if your session ID is mapped to a known email address. It verifies you haven't actually made a purchase in the last, say, 20 minutes.
Right, so it doesn't spam you if you did buy it.
Exactly. And then an automated logic app instantly assembles and fires an email with the exact database images of the shoes you just looked at.
It is just incredibly efficient. And, as a consumer, when it's highly relevant, you actually appreciate it.
Yeah, it's helpful.
It's helpful. Contrasted with the annoyance of old school generic trial and error spam that has nothing to do with you. The source material actually highlights Amazon's recommendation engine here. They use collaborative filtering algorithms.
Oh, Amazon is the gold standard for this.
It's not just looking at what you bought, right? It's looking at what millions of people with similar purchase histories bought and mapping those vectors.
Yes, building massive behavioral webs.
So when Amazon surfaces some niche book you didn't even know existed, but it perfectly fits your tastes, you don't feel marketed to. You feel understood.
Relevance is absolutely the currency here.
Right.
And it goes beyond just recommending products. The text outlines how teams use paid search data to actually refine their organic SEO.
Wait, really? Explain the mechanics of that, because it sounds like a feedback loop.
Yeah.
How are paid ads directly informing organic search strategy?
It's essentially paying for immediate market intelligence.
Okay.
Because SEO is a long game, right? It takes months to rank organically for a keyword.
Oh, yeah, it's brutal.
But a paid ad campaign, that gives you instant data on exactly what search queries trigger a click, and more importantly, which specific long-tail keywords actually lead to a conversion.
So you see what's actually making money today.
Exactly. Once you have that empirical data, you take those high-converting keywords and you bake them into your website's core architecture and content.
That's a
But you
business.
stop guessing what your audience is searching for because you've literally already paid to see the actual search logs.
You essentially bought the answer key to the test.
Yep.
But look, if the data is this powerful and the systems are this automated, why isn't every business doing this flawlessly?
Well,
Because I still get incredibly irrelevant, badly targeted ads all the time.
don't we all?
Right. The handbook outlines 5 major roadblocks in the data mine. And I want to start with data integration because it seems to be the one that trips up the most companies.
Oh, by far.
We always hear about data silos, but structurally, why is it so hard to get, say, a CRM to talk to an email platform?
Because they are completely different technological ecosystems speaking entirely different languages.
Okay.
Think about it. Your social media engagement metrics, your website analytics, your CRM, your financial software, they were likely built by different companies at different times.
Right.
They format data differently. They use different API architectures. Some might use REST. Others might use GraphQL.
So it's a jigsaw puzzle where different departments hold different pieces and they refuse to talk to each other.
Yes, trying to get them to automatically sync is like trying to run trains across continents where every single country uses a different rail gauge.
Oh, the trains just stop at the border.
Exactly. The data gets siloed in its respective department. You can't see the full picture of the customer.
Wow.
So marketing can see you clicked an ad, sure, but they can't see that customer service just spent 40 minutes on the phone dealing with a massive complaint you had.
Oh, man. So if they push a promotional email to you right after you had a terrible customer service experience, it feels totally tone deaf.
Exactly. They lack the full behavioral picture.
And even if you do build the custom APIs to get those systems talking, you hit the next roadblock, data quality.
Which is arguably more dangerous.
Really, more dangerous than having no data.
Yes, because if an API is broken, you have no data. But if you have poor data quality, you have bad data disguised as good data.
Oh, that makes sense.
A predictive machine learning model relies entirely on the purity of its training set.
Garbage in, garbage out.
Exactly. If a significant portion of your CRM has duplicate entries or outdated geographic tags or misspelled identifiers, the algorithm will confidently spit out a deeply flawed strategy.
You end up optimizing your budget for a phantom demographic that literally doesn't exist.
You're throwing money into a black hole.
And then, towering above all of this, is the privacy roadblock.
Ah, yes.
The absolute rigid compliance required by frameworks like GDPR and CCPA to maintain customer trust.
It's non-negotiable.
This raises an important question, though. The handbook suggests investing in safe data management tools and updating compliance guidelines. But practically speaking, how does a company actually balance the demand for hyper-personalization with the strict legal requirement to protect anonymity?
It's tough.
Because they seem diametrically opposed. Like, to personalize, I need to know you. To comply, I need to forget you.
It's a massive friction point. The solution really lies in advanced anonymization techniques, things like data hashing and tokenization.
Okay, break that down for me.
So the system doesn't actually need to know your real name or your email to personalize an experience.
It doesn't.
No. It just needs a consistent, anonymized token that represents your behavioral pattern. But maintaining that architecture requires specialized talent, which feeds directly into the final two roadblocks the text mentions, a severe lack of internal expertise and crippling budget limitations.
Right, because data scientists are not cheap.
Not at all. Data scientists, compliance officers, building custom API bridges, it is all extremely expensive.
So for a mid-sized business, that barrier to entry is huge. How do they actually overcome this?
Well, they have to be strategic.
The handbook advises starting small, focusing on high-impact areas for the budget, providing team training. But what does that actually look like in practice when it comes to breaking down those data silos we talked about?
Well, instead of trying to build custom code to link 10 different legacy systems, which takes forever and costs a fortune,
Right.
companies are migrating to unified platforms, specifically customer data platforms or CDPs.
AEPs.
A CDP acts as a central hub. It natively ingests data from all those disparate sources, normalizes it into a single standardized format, and creates one unified customer profile.
So it does the translation for you.
Exactly. It handles the API translation automatically. It essentially standardizes that rail gauge we talked about so the data can finally flow freely across the organization.
Okay, so once you have that unified, clean data flowing, you can actually start leveraging it. And the text introduces hyper-personalization, which goes a step beyond just triggering an email based on a specific action, like our abandoned cart example.
Much further.
This is where AI and machine learning step in to uncover hidden patterns and predict future purchases. But how predictive can it really get?
Incredibly predictive. Because AI doesn't just process linear actions, it processes multivariate sequences over time.
Meaning what?
Meaning it isn't just saying, oh, you bought a flashlight, so here are some batteries.
Right, the obvious upsell.
Exactly. Instead, it looks at a sequence, like maybe you changed your geographic location data on a weather app.
Yeah.
Then you started buying higher-end coffee, and your browsing patterns shifted to home improvement sites.
Okay.
The AI cross-references all those seemingly unrelated variables against thousands of similar profiles and infers a major life event.
Like buying a new house.
Exactly. It infers you just moved. It then begins hyper-personalizing the marketing for products you haven't even searched for yet, but statistically, it knows you will need in the next 30 days.
That is wild. It's anticipating the friction in the customer's journey before the customer even recognizes it.
It's powerful stuff.
But to fund these highly targeted campaigns, you have to know where your money is actually generating a return.
Absolutely.
And that brings us to budget optimization and a concept the text highlights called multi-touch attribution.
Yes, crucial concept.
I find this fascinating because it completely upends how we measure success. Historically, if someone clicked a search ad and bought a product, that search ad just got all the glory.
Right. That's called the last click attribution model, and it is deeply flawed.
Why?
Because human behavior is rarely a straight line. You might hear a brand mentioned on a podcast.
Like this deep dive.
Right. Then you see a display ad 3 days later. Then you read a review a week after that. And finally, you convert through a direct search.
Okay, yeah.
If you only credit the final search ad, you will inevitably cut the budget for the display ads and the podcast sponsorships because they look like they aren't working.
Oh, and you'd completely cripple your actual funnel.
Exactly. You cut off the awareness that drove the search in the first place.
Wait, so how does a multi-touch attribution model actually solve that? Because tracking a single user across a podcast, a mobile browser, and a desktop search seems like an identity resolution nightmare.
It is a challenge.
If they aren't logged in across all those devices, doesn't the chain break?
It can, which is why multi-touch models use both deterministic tracking, like those logged-in user IDs, and probabilistic modeling.
Probabilistic modeling.
Yeah, matching IP addresses, device fingerprints, and timestamp proximity to stitch the journey together.
Oh, wow.
And once the journey is stitched together, the algorithm applies fractional credit.
Okay, breaking up the value.
Exactly. It might assign 30% of the value to the first touch point that created awareness, 40% to the mid-funnel content that built trust, and 30% to the final conversion click.
So you see the real ROI.
Yes. This allows a marketing team to see the actual mathematical weight of every channel. So money is spent wisely to increase ROI across the entire ecosystem, rather than just optimizing for the final conversion trigger.
Which, I mean, because trends evolve so quickly, maintaining that flexible budget and having a willingness to experiment based on this data is absolutely critical for survival.
It really is. You have to adapt.
But here is the massive catch in all of this.
Okay.
We've gathered the data, we've standardized it, we've hashed it for privacy, we have AI predicting life events, and we have multi-touch models fractionally attributing the budget.
Sounds perfect.
Right. But none of this matters. Literally not one bit. If the marketing team staring at the screen cannot actually interpret what the system is doing.
Yes, the execution.
If it's just raw JSON files or massive spreadsheets, human decision-making just grinds to a halt. We need a visual interface.
We do.
And this brings us to the ultimate execution and the core focus of our series. Designing the insight through marketing dashboards and wireframing tools.
This is where theory hits reality. A dashboard is the bridge between all that complex data architecture we just talked about and actual human cognitive processing. Exactly. A marketer needs to track their KPIs, bounce rates, conversion costs, organic traffic, social media performance at a glance. They need to bridge that reporting gap.
Right.
And the visual hierarchy of a dashboard is what surfaces the anomalies. A spike in a line graph instantly tells a human something is wrong, whereas finding that same spike in a table of 10,000 rows
It's practically impossible.
Right. The sources mention several heavy-hitting business intelligence tools for this. There's Tableau, which is visually stunning and highly interactive.
Very popular.
Google Data Studio, which is free and ideal for budget-friendly solutions.
Yep.
And Azure and Power BI, which are perfect for companies already embedded in the Microsoft ecosystem. Plus Qlik, which is renowned for deep data analytics.
All incredibly powerful tools.
But building a dashboard directly inside these platforms is incredibly resource-intensive.
It is. If you just jump into Power BI and start dragging charts around without a plan, you end up with a cluttered, unusable mess.
Which is exactly why so many dashboards fail. They suffer from cognitive overload because they try to display everything at once.
Just overwhelming the user.
Yeah. And fixing a broken dashboard architecture in a live BI environment requires rewriting queries and unlinking data models. It is expensive and time-consuming.
So what does this all mean?
This is where the crucial step of wireframing comes in. The text highlights mockup.ai as an easy-to-use wireframing tool that simplifies dashboard design for this exact problem.
I need you to break down why a specialized tool is necessary here.
Sure.
Like, why can't a marketing team just draw their ideal dashboard on a whiteboard, take a photo with their phone, and hand it to the data scientist to build in Tableau?
Because a whiteboard drawing has no underlying structural logic. It's just shapes.
Okay.
Mockup.ai acts as the essential bridge between visual design and data architecture. It allows a marketer to drag and drop visual elements, bar charts, heat maps, KPI cards, but it enforces a structural grid that mirrors how a BI tool actually works.
Oh, so it keeps you grounded in reality.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It forces the team to answer the hard questions up front. What is the primary metric? What filters need to be applied? How do these widgets interact?
It's like an architect building a blueprint. You don't just pour concrete and hope a load-bearing wall naturally forms in the right place, right?
Great way to put it.
You define the structure before you spend a dime on construction materials. Wireframing your dashboard ensures the data actually tells the right story visually before you spend time and money building it out in heavy BI tools.
Exactly. Mockup.ai lets the marketing team define the load-bearing narrative of their data.
And the most critical feature mentioned in our sources is that marketers can design their dashboards here first and export wireframes directly into files compatible with Tableau and Power BI files.
Yes, making the transition from design to BI implementation incredibly easy.
This is the part I want to clarify, because that seems like a massive workflow shift.
Yeah.
It isn't just exporting a static JPEG image that a developer then has to manually recreate, right?
No, not at all.
How does that translation actually work?
It exports a structured schema, often utilizing JSON or XML frameworks under the hood, that the BI tools can actually read natively.
Oh, wow.
It translates the visual layout, the container sizes, and the intended data hierarchies from the wireframe directly into the structural framework of Power BI or Tableau.
So the skeletal architecture is already built.
Yes, the data engineering team doesn't have to guess what the marketing team meant by their whiteboard drawing. They just have to map the live data streams to the pre-approved wireframe containers.
That must significantly cut down the development time.
Massively.
It eliminates the constant back and forth revisions that just blow up budgets. The marketing team gets exactly the narrative structure they designed. And the data team doesn't waste time building visualizations that don't answer the right business questions.
It ensures the dashboard is immediately actionable from day one.
And an actionable dashboard is what allows a company to truly leverage all those complex multi-touch attribution models and predictive AI algorithms we discussed earlier.
Right. The wireframe ensures that the technology serves the human strategy, rather than the humans getting buried by the technology.
It really brings the entire pipeline full circle.
It does.
We've covered a massive amount of ground today.
We really have.
We started with a shift away from slow, lagging market research, that traditional guesswork, moving into an era of real-time leading indicators.
Yep.
We explored the deep technical friction of data silos, the complexities of unifying APIs with a customer data platform, and the incredible mathematics of multi-touch attribution.
The whole journey of marketing data.
Exactly. And finally, we saw how tools like mockup.ai act as the essential translation layer, turning massive behavioral databases into clean, structured visual narratives that a marketing team can actually use to build ethical, transparent, long-term relationships with customers.
The overarching theme here is that the shift from product-centric to customer-centric marketing isn't just a change in messaging, it is a fundamental rewiring of a company's technological infrastructure.
Absolutely.
But, as we wrap up our analysis of this handbook, there is a fascinating tension embedded in all this data that I think we need to consider.
Oh, I like where this is going. What is the tension?
Well, as these artificial intelligence models become increasingly adept at predictive personalization, literally knowing what we want before we do based on our behavioral data, we have to ask a broader question.
Okay.
At what point does a perfectly targeted, perfectly timed marketing suggestion stop being an ad and start functioning as an automated digital concierge? And more importantly, as marketers master this data pipeline to anticipate consumer needs with absolute mathematical precision, where is the line between anticipating a choice and subtly removing the consumer's need to make a choice altogether?
Man.
Yeah.
If the algorithm knows you better than you know yourself, are you even shopping anymore or just following the data's instructions?
Exact.
That is definitely something to chew on the next time an email magically appears with the exact item you were just thinking about. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We will catch you on the next one.